day 1, Wednesday, I used my phone for 12 minutes. Those 12 minutes were pretty much entirely Duolingo. I also used the clock because I set an alarm for myself when the experiment started, and so I had to turn that off. And so I do have less than 1 minute of clock. Sorry, this is so disorganized. Day 2, I used my phone for 18 minutes. 16 of those minutes were Duolingo. I said I was going to keep it to 15. I think 16 is totally fine. I think that's still a success. And then the other 1 minute, I guess there must have been some change too. The other 1 minute was messages, totally within the plan, so that's a success. Day 3, I used my phone for 13 minutes. That's 11 minutes on Duolingo, 1 minute on messages, less than 1 minute on phone, and less than 1 minute on Chrome, and also Google. That was because I accidentally opened those apps. Those are all less than 1 minute, so I just clicked away. Day 4, I used my phone for 11 minutes. I was 5 minutes on messages, so I was responding to some more messages on that day, and then 3 minutes on Duolingo, so I just was keeping my streak alive, and since I had spent 5 whole minutes on messages, I wanted to spend less time on Duolingo. It also says Snapchat, Reddit, and phone, so again, I'm accidentally opening apps, which is stupid, but still, I use my phone for 11 minutes in total. I don't count that as a failure, that I accidentally opened some apps while I was checking messages and while I was using Duolingo. Again, force of habit. I don't know what's wrong with me, but that is something that happened, is that force of habit. I would just click one of the apps and then I'd be like, oh shit, I'm doing my no phone experiment. I can't do that. The next day, 18 minutes, and I used my maps for 9 minutes. So I talked about that on that day, that I was navigating through the city. So I should have prepared more for that, but I ended up needing to use my phone to navigate. Camera, I took a little bit of video for just 3 minutes, and then messages, responding to messages. On day 6, I used my phone for 7 minutes, and that was Duolingo for 7 minutes. So there you go. Finally, on day 7, I used my phone for 11 minutes. That was 7 minutes of Duolingo, 2 minutes of checking messages, and less than 1 minute of settings, which I think I just accidentally clicked settings again. So those are the results. Every day was 18 minutes or less, which is atypical for me. That is a total success. The majority of the time I used for Duolingo, there was that time that I needed to use Google Maps, and then I wanted to use my camera a bit to film just a couple things for the video. Totally, in my mind, a complete success from what I set out to do at the beginning. So, for my final thoughts, I just wanted to say, I think this experiment was in some ways a success and in some ways a failure. Like I stated, I think that I succeeded in my goal, which was to stop going on social media and scrolling all day long on TikTok and Instagram, and to stop watching YouTube. That was my goal, and I think I succeeded in that goal. And you can see that through my screen time, that I really stopped using my phone except for Duolingo, which is honestly very funny to me. And that's kind of why I did that. In just the concrete sense of it, that was a success. But I do think that I wanted more from the experiment. I would say overall, I felt better without having my phone. However, I did predict that I would, gradually, like day 1, 2, 3 might be hard, and then I would, have this increase in mood that would last for the last few days. That was my prediction. Really, that didn't turn out to be totally true. It was partially true. My mood did get better over the course of the 7 days, but I would say this week was more like a roller coaster. Ups and downs, pits and valleys. It was very all over the place. And I thought it was going to be more consistent in terms of how I was feeling in my mood. And I had some really low lows, even as far in as, day 4, 5, 6. And that was not what I thought would happen. Definitely, there were other factors in my life that contributed to how I felt for those 7 days. Again, I have a lot more appreciation for actual scientific experiments, because this was definitely not one. There were a lot of confounding variables. I had this expectation that not using my phone would really lift my mood and really turn things around for me in terms of how I feel on a day-to-day basis and how I feel in my life, and that just wasn't true. Going into the experiment, I felt like maybe this could make a big impact and turn my life around. And that was a silly thing to think. Of course, just changing one aspect about your life is not going to change everything about your life. It's not like I was just suddenly going to become super productive when I stopped using my phone. There still are other distractions. I still had my computer that I could use. There was still, I could play video games. I could still watch movies. I could still watch TV. There still was all these other distractions. However, having said all that, it still helped me be more active, and it helped me socialize more with the people around me, and that I enjoyed. That was very fulfilling. That specific part of it, the fact that it forced me to be more active, it forced me to talk to people more and to socialize more with the people around me. That was the part of this experiment that was a success to me. Going on into the future, I would like to continue using my phone less, but I do think there are some problems to just going cold turkey. It sort of hurt my ability to communicate with others, and I did feel less connected to, friends, those that are, that I'm only connected to through social media or stuff like that. What my takeaway is, and what I will continue to do following this experiment, is I think it's a good idea to limit your phone usage. The most unsatisfying thing is when a day is completely sucked away by just scrolling all day long on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, watching video after video after video. Those are the worst days, and I feel like that's the stuff that I want to eliminate going forward in my life. 100%. Getting outside and exercising or just doing a hobby you enjoy is always going to feel more fulfilling at the end than scrolling all day long on Instagram or TikTok or wherever you're scrolling. That's how it felt for me. And that takeaway isn't new. It's not as exciting as I would have hoped it would be. Ultimately, it is the takeaway of this video. Don't get sucked into using your phone 8 to 10 hours a day. Try and really limit how much you're using your phone at a time, because I think falling into, using your phone for over an hour or even over 2 hours, that's when it really starts feeling bad. There's a lot of things that we just do on our phones nowadays, and there's a lot of things that your phone is helpful for, like being this amazing navigator where I can, see wherever I want to go, and I can see reviews of places. I did miss what an amazing tool my phone is during this experiment. But I did also realize that those scrolling sessions are just completely worthless. I think from now on, when I'm on YouTube for the second or the third hour in a row, I'm going to think about this experiment, and I'm going to put that phone down. And I'm going to go do something else. Just sitting outside with my dog seemed so boring, yet it felt so much more fulfilling than scrolling on Instagram ever felt. Doing something that's boring or not fun, like going on a walk or going on a bike ride, there's something more fulfilling about those boring activities. So that's what I would say. You don't need to avoid your phone entirely, but just avoid getting stuck in those loops where you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and you can't stop scrolling. That was the takeaway for me, and hopefully it'll help me live a better, more fulfilling life. We'll see. But I'm glad I did this experiment. I'm glad that I tried this and really saw how I would react. And it wasn't always great. Sometimes I went to my computer and tried to use it just like my phone. But I did learn a little bit more about myself. And I think if you do the same thing, you stop using your phone for a week, I think you can learn the same things about yourself, how you're using your phone unhealthily and how you can stop doing that. So that's my takeaway here. And that's it. That's the video. So I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys on the flip. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Have a good one, y'all.